The first time I saw the dolphin, people look so young, very young, for 8 years. Now look them older, and some of them look tired, but they still coming back to Vietnam to help. That's the first thing we think. We appreciate them. We appreciate them very much about helping in Vietnam.
The Board of Trustees for the Dove Fund take their job seriously. They want to make sure 100% of donations go directly to projects that will benefit the poorest of poor people in the rural areas of Vietnam. Their mission is to provide humanitarian and development assistance to areas in Vietnam, to promote communication, education, and cultural exchanges that reflects the best quality of both cultures, to create an environment brightened by hope and sustained by peace.
I said, this is crazy. I said, where are we going to get the money from? We're just going to go around knocking on doors, asking people to give us money to build a school in Vietnam. And I said, and then what happens if we get the money? We're just going to put it in an envelope and send it to Vietnam? I said, who knows where it's going to go at that point? A lot of money was raised, to my astonishment, very quickly. And we built that first school and did a medical clinic like within 3 months. I was just amazed at what could be done. It's really taken off since then.
I always felt that Vietnam was an unended U.S. project. I went back to Vietnam for my first time, and you went back with a little trepidation, and I was overwhelmed by the identity of Americans to the Vietnamese. We left a big footprint in Vietnam. It was amazing how many people I met who didn't look at us as a prior enemy. They looked at us as a new beginning, so to speak. I got active in Dove after my kids were educated, and I had extra dollars. Dove became my spiritual release to give back. I ended up being the major donor of a elementary school right on US 1 and the DMZ, which was an area that the 1st Marine Air Wing serviced. And I had flown over countless times on supply missions. When they showed me the location where they wanted to build this school, I said, geez, I want that to be my school. It's been very satisfying, personally. I want to do more, and that was my vehicle.
I really fell in love with the children, which surprised me because I never realized I really had that sort of a softness inside me, but I saw that they were the real victims in the war, that they were the innocent bystanders, and that they were the ones who suffered the most, it seemed. I knew that I would have to go back, but I would have to go back in such a way that I could somehow pay back what I had felt I and others in the Army had done to the country. I was like seeing Vietnam for the first time. I remember the water buffalo would always ram the tank as went down the side of the road. And now I looked at a water buffalo and I said, what a magnificent, a beautiful animal this was. I remember the last time I walked down a road like that, I was scared to death. For a minute, I still had that feeling, but that was years ago in a different time, and it's much better now. When you give to others, it enriches you so much. When you see the depth of gratitude, of need, the sense of appreciation that the Vietnamese people have for what you're doing. I mean, we gave scholarships to college students, and the stories would just tear your heart out. You know, his parents had died, and his aunt was taking care of him, and she was now sick. And he couldn't go to school because he needed to go back to work in the fields to save money to buy medicine for her health. And it's great because as an American, you're representing your country. I'm proud of that fact, that as an American, we are leaving such a positive impression on their minds because, 40 years ago, we didn't leave such a good impression.
You go to Vietnam and you realize how much we really truly have in the United States. And these kids just the little bit of help we can give them is immense. I mean, it's absolutely incredible what we're doing over there. My experience there was the children. You know, when you see the kids and the smiles on their face and all that kind of thing, that's what we're there for, to give them a better future. My father served in the Delta region of Vietnam. I felt that he was there to help the people of South Vietnam. So as Dove approached me and told me their mission, I thought it was something that I wanted to do. Kind of continue his legacy.
Quang Tri Province is in the center of Vietnam, where once the demilitarized zone splitting the country into the north and south stood. It is approximately 1,700 square miles, with a population of close to 1 million people. It was also the fiercest area of conflict during the Vietnam-American War, and the most heavily saturated with Agent Orange. The people who live here generally live in tiny hamlets and work the land by hand or with the help of their water buffalo. The soil is sandy and difficult to cultivate, and landmines and unexploded ordnances still exist. Besides everyday survival, education, medical help, and clean water are the primary needs. The Dove Fund is providing these and making a huge difference in the lives of the people of the Quang Tri Province.
We take so many things for granted in the United States. They have virtually nothing. They make $600 a year. They live off the land. They work very hard. Their family unit is very tight, very loving, very supportive. They just need so much, healthcare-wise, education-wise, clean water-wise, and the Dove Fund has been able to be quite effective in one of the poorest provinces in Vietnam.
Yeah, I've gone every year. I look at the itinerary that's coming up and I just can't resist going. I just love the country, love the people. We're doing so much good there. It's neat that the Dove is raising so much money between really Americans that are so generous, and I just want to make sure 100% of their money gets spent properly. But it, more importantly is the relationship I've developed with a lot of the Vietnamese people over there. It's changed my life. A lot of people are still affected by what happened in Vietnam, and I've been through it, and I think my goal now is to help other Vietnam vets go back and hopefully they can see Vietnam today, 40 years later, versus what it was.
I've learned very much about myself and got to know the people of Vietnam in a different way, children especially. It really has helped me address what and I've heard others say, is a hole in my soul. And the hole's not filled up, but it's healing.
Through a boyhood friend of mine, I was introduced to the Dove Fund. We reconnected after 40 years of not knowing where each other was, and he introduced me to the concept of the Dove Fund and building schools and medical facilities, and using that as a way to start dealing with some of the issues that I suppressed. In the last 3 years have really been on a whirlwind trip, if you will, to just begin to deal with some of those issues and work through them. In the process of helping the poor children and families in Vietnam through the humanitarian efforts that we're doing there, offers a Vietnam veteran a way to go back to Vietnam in a very positive sense.
It doesn't take but one visit to a school and you're hooked. The feelings that you had, you recognize that the war's over, we're not fighting these children. Yeah. So it was a very cathartic, healing experience for us. Yeah.
And so when I go back now, when we build schools, and you look at the face of the children, obviously they're not the same children. This is 40 years later. But when you look at them, that's what you think of. That's what I think of. I think of the kids that had it rough that first time around, and in some way in our own minds we're helping those people to have a better life.